Hello friends, it's Lisa and I'm back today with a new video. So, what we're going to focus on today is masking and stamping this scene, especially using the scan and cut machine from Brother. So, I'm lazy and I don't want to cut out masks by hand. It may just be me, but if you're with me, shout out to you. I don't got that much time. So, I, of course, bought a scan and cut. I had one prior to my house fire, and I liked it a lot, but I didn't have a whole lot of knowledge on electronic die cutting. Then I got the Cricut Maker after my fire, and I really like it. It's so easy. All you do is you say, I want to cut out this, this type of material. And it says use this mat, use this knife, hit go. That's what you do. It's so easy. But I have gotten quite a bit of experience with electronic die cutting now that I have that machine. So I felt confident getting the scan and cut again because buying dies that go along with stamp set is expensive. Oh my gosh. And you only get how that cuts out. A lot of times it has a white edge, which I don't like. Dies like this don't even have stamps like this don't even have coordinating dies. So what I'm showing you here is how I took these stamps from the packaging to the end state. First I cut them out. Now I'm putting them on the Tim Holtz stamp thing. I don't remember the name. But when they're cling stamps, I cling them to the back. When they're clear stamps, I just slide them in. They're the little stamp pockets from Tim Holtz. So, rather than taking all of the cling off, stamping them individually, or with my stamp press, I just stamped it like this. It worked out pretty well. I only had that one flower that had a small issue. I just stamped it above it to see what it's supposed to look like. And then when I color it in, you'll see how I do that. Now, I just went ahead and cleaned it off. So, why am I easy stamping all of these? That's a great question. Because all I need is to scan them in and I'll have die cuts for these stamps. Each and every one exactly how I want it. You do have to do a little bit of work to get the die cuts perfect. Now you can just scan it in and cut it out. That's easy. I have the little card that lets you use the Wi-Fi with the machine, which seems like kind of a jip. If you don't have it, you have to pay $50 to buy it, but it is really helpful. I didn't have it the first time, and now I have it, and it's worth it to get it where you can Wi-Fi enabled. I got my scan and cut last craft day on HSN. That's my suggestion of how to do that. You get a good bundle, you get it at the cheapest you're going to get it, and it's great. So what I'm doing is going through and coloring all the different stamp sets that I got in black marker, which seems like, Lisa, this seems stupid. Why are you doing this? That gives the machine a very crisp image to outline and trace. Even these small, tiny images, I can die cut them now. And when I scanned it in the machine, I scanned it so it was perfectly along the edges. I can easily go into the machine or on the computer and make those bigger so I actually have the little 1/4 inch or 1/8 inch white area around it. I can either stamp and then die cut by stamping it on the paper, sending it through the machine, lining up the die cuts, or I can die cut it and then stamp it. I need to do some more tests before I let you know which one works better for me. But I have been doing it where I die cut it out and then stamp it, and that works pretty well, especially if you have a stamp platform of some kind. So there I was showing you, I scanned it in and I sent it to my computer. Here I am on my computer. I pulled it from the internet or whatever, and I'm going through and adjusting. You can see it cuts really close. If you missed a part, like here, it doesn't actually cut out the antennae because they're just so small and delicate. I actually was going to take the antennae off, but I wanted to show you you can add them back in. I did add some areas on that floral stamp you saw, that Simon Says stamp floral image. Here I'm just adjusting the points. You can add or subtract control points is kind of what they call them. And that just, you can see here I'm rounding that out so it actually cuts better. You really can see the image, especially since it's all black. You can see kind of where you need to pull things in, pull it out. It does take a few extra minutes to do this. If you don't do it, it's going to cut it out pretty well anyway. You don't need to really worry about it. But I'm going to use this basically forever. Anytime I take this stamp set out and I'm like, I need a mask or I need something, I can just pull these out and I'm done, which is why I took the extra time. Now here I'm showing you can add things. So if there was an inside cutout, I could add that back in. I can even curve the lines, make it a different shape. Here I can copy and paste it, flip it, and then cut it out of the other image so that you never have to worry about collecting the whole image. But I didn't actually need that. There's a lot of really cool things you can do, make some really cool patterns and stuff, which we'll get into in a later video. But I'm going to go ahead and save this as the title of the stamps, and then darkroom, and it's supposed to be darkroom door stamps, so that when I need to look for it, I can. One thing I didn't capture on video is putting the Eclipse masking paper on top of this leftover backing film. That's the type of masking paper I have. It doesn't actually come with the backing to it because it's on a roll. So I just took some backing paper that I had from that I've used on some other projects that doesn't, the top, which was some film, is off. So I just stuck it down there and it worked perfectly. Now I'm pulling the data from my computer. I'd already clicked on my computer and said, send this data. Then I click that button and it pulls the data from the computer onto my ScanNCut. I pulled it twice, so I have double the images. And I'm sorry about the video quality. I couldn't really capture it too well. It was very sunny. So I've gone ahead and add 2 of the flowers. So I have double the flowers. And I'm going to do the same thing with the leaves and add the butterflies once. I wasn't 100% sure on everything that I needed. That's why I cut out everything. And I'm going to save these. I can save them with my stamp set. Right here, so what I did is I clicked the button that fits everything perfectly on the page. But if you remember, I put 2 rows of the masking paper. So I'm just adjusting it. Here, important, I did 1.5, and then I'll show you cut speed of 1, cut pressure of 1, and it cut it out perfectly. Obviously, your machine might be a little bit different, so test it out. You'll see here I tested it out. It cut out perfectly. It didn't cut the backing paper. I'm good to go. I was going to tell you I had the 2 different pieces of masking paper. I just didn't want to have any images where I was cutting halfway on the line, because then it would be 2 different masks and I'd have to match them up and it'd just be a pain. I just didn't want to have to worry about that. So I adjusted it and I only butted 2 images up together barely. It didn't affect anything. So, easy peasy. It did take a few minutes extra to do this first part, but I'll never have to do it again. It's even if I get a new machine in 5-10 years, I can just capture it from online. Now, I just tossed away the mask, the back, this extra paper. You could totally use that for ink blending, creating a background. It would be really cool, but I didn't have any extra backing paper to put it on. I just didn't want to worry about it, so I threw it away. You don't need to do that. I was planning on mass producing this, so I'm using the Hero Arts Inktense black ink because I know I want to color it. So I set it all up on my stamp platform. I'm going through, stamping 6 pages. That doesn't last long because every time you want to change the stamps, you have to move all the masks to the next paper. I didn't really think that part through, so I ended up only making 2. I'll just walk you through one. So here I am stamping them on the second layer. I've forgotten the mask, of course. I've done all this work and then I forget the masks. But see, as you can see, they fit perfectly. That one somehow got flipped. I don't know how, so I just restamped it. I found the real image that the machine had cut out, so just ignore that. If you do need to hand cut some masks, it's not too bad. It just is annoying. I'd rather just have the machine do it. So here's the second page I'm doing, and you can see I have to move the mask. I didn't cut out enough masks to go over 6 different pages. So you'd have to plan a whole lot better than I did. Next, here's the stamping I'd done on some cheap paper, just to kind of finagle where everything was going to go, make sure it was full. Well, it just wasn't, the stamping platform just wasn't going to work well enough for me at this point. So I ended up doing it by hand. I was a little worried. Sometimes I'm not the best stamper, but it actually worked out really well. I think the rubber stamps stamp a whole lot better. Just my personal preference. So when I'm using clear stamps, I really have to use the stamp platform. It's a lot easier. But the cling stamps, the red rubber stamps, I have much better luck with just regular hand stamping them. So these worked out really well. Plus they're very busy, so if I misstamped a little bit, you're not going to notice. It's not going to be a big deal. The one thing I did mess up is I should have stamped the flower, then the little butterfly, then the daisy flower. But it's not a big enough deal that it really matters. So think about where your stamp, where in the picture it needs to be, because the little butterfly looks like it's at the front, or I really wanted it standing on the white flower, which is 2 flowers behind, so it looks like it's standing on the stem of the red flower, but it's not a big deal. So I just went through and stamped. Here is where I'm filling in the greenery below. So I realize I only have 2 of each stamp. So I can't stamp anything where I need to stamp over it again in more than 2 places. I'm also trying to orient the same stamp different ways. as you can see, I just did that with these leafy fronds. I stamped one almost horizontally and one pretty vertically. Then you don't tell as much that it's the exact same stamp. Just a hint, none of us have unlimited money. Nobody wants to buy a gazillion stamps. Well, we might want to, but you can't. So trying to reorient them, change a little bit how they look. You can change colors. You can draw a little bit over top, and it's going to look great. Here is the end of this video. I have another video coming out tomorrow, so go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you can watch as I color this with Copic markers. It's a lot of fun. Have a wonderful day, and come check me out this month. I am joining the coloring challenge with Kathy Rakusin, and I'm doing a YouTube live every day as I color through my coloring book. Check out the video for that. And thanks. Bye.